You slept 8 hours. You drank water. You even tried to go to bed earlier this week. And yet, your brain feels slow, heavy, foggy. You're not physically exhausted. You're mentally overloaded. This is Cogniva Lab, and today we're breaking down the real neuroscience behind constant mental fatigue and how to reverse it using cognitive architecture principles. Let's begin. Mental exhaustion is not the same as physical tiredness. It's not about muscles, it's about bandwidth. Your brain runs on limited cognitive resources, primarily working memory and executive control, both regulated by the prefrontal cortex. That's the region responsible for focus, decision-making, impulse control, planning, and emotional regulation. When you say, "I can't think straight," what you're actually experiencing is reduced prefrontal efficiency. According to research summarized by the American Psychological Association, prolonged cognitive effort leads to measurable performance decline, even when motivation remains high. So the issue isn't that you don't care, it's that your neural resources are depleted. Now here's the critical question. Why are they depleted all the time? To understand this, we need to talk about cognitive load. Cognitive load refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in working memory. And working memory is extremely limited. It can only hold a small number of elements at once. Every notification, every unfinished task, every unresolved conversation, every decision, every internal pressure to improve yourself. All of it consumes bandwidth. Studies from Stanford University show that frequent task switching reduces efficiency and increases mental fatigue. When you switch between tasks, even briefly, your brain pays a switching cost. Scrolling is not passive, it's rapid task switching. Your brain processes social signals, compares status, predicts reactions, absorbs new information, releases dopamine, then recalibrates, over and over again. And because this feels normal, you don't detect the load, but your brain does. Now layer something else on top of that. Microstress. Most people think stress has to be dramatic to matter. A crisis, a deadline, a breakup. But the nervous system reacts just as reliably to small, unresolved tensions. An email you're avoiding, a subtle conflict you haven't addressed, financial uncertainty, the pressure to stay relevant, the sense that you should be doing more. Each one produces a slight cortisol response. Individually, they seem harmless. Collectively, they keep your system in a low-grade, activated state. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that chronic stress disrupts the brain's ability to regulate emotion and maintain cognitive clarity. When cortisol remains mildly elevated over time, it impairs sleep quality, reduces dopamine sensitivity, and increases cognitive fatigue. This is why you wake up tired even after sleeping. Your body rested. Your nervous system didn't. But there's another hidden drain. Emotional suppression. When something frustrates you, hurts you, or overwhelms you, and you say, "It's fine." The emotion doesn't disappear. It gets processed internally. Functional brain imaging studies show that suppressing emotion increases activity in the amygdala, while simultaneously taxing the prefrontal cortex. In simple terms, it takes effort not to feel. That effort costs energy. If you suppress small emotions throughout the day, irritation, disappointment, insecurity, you are running a background program that constantly consumes cognitive power. Over time, this leads to what feels like burnout, but isn't exactly burnout. It's bandwidth exhaustion. Now let's talk about identity pressure. Modern culture links worth to productivity. Output equals value. Achievement equals identity. This creates a performance-based self-concept. And here's the problem. When your identity depends on output, your brain never fully disengages. Even during rest, part of you evaluates. Should I be doing more? Am I falling behind? Is this enough? True recovery requires psychological safety. If rest feels like failure, your nervous system never exits activation mode. That's why vacations don't fix mental exhaustion. You bring the operating system with you. So what's the solution? Not more discipline. Not another productivity system. You don't need to push harder. You need to manage cognitive load intentionally. Here's the evidence-based recovery protocol. First, close open loops. Unfinished tasks consume working memory, even when you're not actively thinking about them. The brain maintains a representation of incomplete goals. Write down everything that feels unresolved. Tasks, conversations, decisions, obligations. Then assign each one a category. Act on it, schedule it, or consciously eliminate it. Externalization immediately reduces mental load because your brain no longer needs to track everything internally. Second, reduce task switching. Monotasking preserves executive function. Work in structured, deep focus blocks. 45 to 60 minutes. One task. No notifications. No parallel processing. This restores efficiency and prevents switching fatigue. Third, introduce boredom deliberately. Dopamine systems recalibrate during low stimulation states. 10 to 20 minutes daily without input. No phone, no podcast, no music. Walk. Sit. Observe. When you allow cognitive idling, the brain resets reward sensitivity. Without boredom, everything eventually feels dull. Fourth, process emotion intentionally. Allocate 10 minutes in the evening. Ask yourself, what did I feel today that I didn't express? What tension am I carrying right now? Labeling emotion reduces amygdala activation and increases prefrontal regulation. Processing is cheaper than suppressing. And fifth, detach identity from constant output. Ask yourself a structural question. If productivity did not define my worth, how would I operate differently? Performance anxiety is a hidden cognitive tax. When you reduce identity pressure, you reduce background stress. Now let's integrate this. Mental exhaustion is not laziness, it's not weakness, it's not a character flaw. It's the predictable outcome of unmanaged cognitive demand in a high-stimulation environment. Your brain is adaptive, but it is not infinite. Energy is not about motivation, it's about load management. When you reduce open loops, limit switching, process emotion, allow boredom, and detach worth from output, mental clarity returns. Not instantly, but reliably. You don't need to become someone else. You need to reduce unnecessary neural strain. If this reframed how you understand your fatigue, subscribe to Cogniva Lab. In the next episode, we'll analyze why high performers often experience emotional numbness and the neuroscience behind it. Until then, protect your bandwidth, because attention is currency, and your brain is your most valuable asset.